And inflation has skyrocketed since COVID. That means the money that you're making right now is not buying nearly as much as it did just 2 years ago. That's why a group called Raise the Wage is gathering signatures to increase Ohio's minimum wage to $15 an hour. It would put the issue on the November ballot. Matt Stone takes a look at where the state currently stands in a look back at this week's cover story.
Ohio minimum wage workers got a raise earlier this year. It went from $10.10 an hour to $10.45. But some people say that raise didn't go far enough. The group Raise the Wage says it's still too low to cover the basic cost of living. They filed a ballot proposal to raise the Ohio minimum wage to $15 an hour in 2 steps by 2026 and phase out the tipped workers' wage altogether by 2029. Members of that group say those types of employees are working harder these days, and they're getting paid less because of inflation and other factors.
The typical worker in Ohio has increased their productivity by about 76%, but wages for the worker in the middle have grown only 4% over that same period of time. So workers are not taking home their fair share of all of the growth that their work has made possible.
Shields says that money is instead going to executives or to company profit or stock value. But groups that represent small businesses and restaurants, they say the minimum wage was never meant to be a living wage. And if it skyrocketed to $15, well, not every business could survive it.
In the average restaurant, if they have to move the minimum wage up and eliminate the tip wage, which is a second component of this, they would need to raise their prices between, on average, what we're seeing about 20 to 25% on top of what they have already had to raise their prices in the last 3 years. And so that is tremendous inflation. And everybody who knows anything about business knows that.
Barker says the average restaurant's profits are only around 5 to 6%. A state senator near Cincinnati is proposing a bill that would increase the minimum wage to $15, but it would slow that increase through 2028. It would also keep the tipped wage. He fears a quicker raise in the wage would lead to unemployment.
The net effect is that average income for these lower wage families will go down. You can expect that there would be businesses saying we're going to try to do more with a single employee, not hire, close down. I mean, it's intuitively obvious that there is an unemployment component to this.
Blessing says unemployment would be a lot higher near the state borders because surrounding states have a much lower minimum wage that businesses in Ohio wouldn't be able to compete with. If you look at the minimum wages of states that surround Ohio, they are a lot lower. Pennsylvania is at the federal minimum wage of $7.25, as is Indiana. West Virginia is at $8.75, with Michigan the highest at $10.33. Raise the Wage is certain they'll get enough signatures to get this measure on the ballot, and history shows voters usually favor those types of issues. With today's cover story, I'm Matt Stone.